Good.
Our faith affirms that creation is too grand, complex, and mysterious to be captured in a narrow creed. That is why we cherish individual freedom of belief. At the same time, our convictions lead us to other affirmations. That the blessings of life are available to everyone, not just the chosen or the saved. That creation itself is holy, the earth and all its creatures, the stars and all their glory. That the sacred or divine, the precious and profound, are made evident not in the miraculous or supernatural, but in the simple and everyday. That human beings, joined in collaboration with the gifts of grace, are responsible for the planet and its future. That every one of us is held in creation's hand, a part of the interdependent cosmic web, and hence strangers need not be enemies. That no one is saved until we all are saved, where all means the whole of creation. That the paradox of life is to love it all the more, even though we ultimately lose it. Good morning, everyone. Good morning and welcome to this merry month of May. I'm Reverend Hank Purse. My pronouns are he, him, and his. Today we have a very special service, a service of story and song, because 100 years ago today, Pete Seeger, the singer, activist, and Unitarian Universalist, was born. I want to welcome you to our service. Thank you for inviting us into your home. We have a lovely service, and I want to just raise up a moment and thank Linda Wilkes, who is part of our new stream team. I like the name of that, the new stream team, and who is making this all, she's doing all the magic stuff that I don't quite understand. So we are so grateful to her. Thank you, Linda. Our church welcomes people from communities all around, all north of Boston. And we are so grateful to have you here. We hope that you feel welcome in this place because you belong here. You belong here maybe only for the length of this worship service, though we hope much longer. We are so grateful to have you here with us today. And now I'm going to light our chalice. And if you would join me in repeating the chalice lighting words that we say each week. In the light of truth, the warmth of community, we gather this day. May the flame we now kindle be to us a symbol of the holiness we seek.
Good morning, everyone. This is Mary Cunningham, music director of the church, and I am so glad to be putting together a service with Pete Seeger's music. We have Pete Seeger all the way through today, and of course, many of you know how fun it is to sing Mr. Seeger's pieces. This first one, Turn, 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 is well known, and I hope you'll join us in singing. These are words taken from the Bible, the book of Ecclesiastes, a time for every purpose under heaven. Turn, turn, turn.
Time for every purpose under heaven. A time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time to reap, a time to kill, a time to heal, a time to laugh, a time to weep. To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, 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 and a time for every purpose under heaven. A time to build up, a time to break down, a time to dance, a time to mourn, a time to cast away stones, a time to gather stones together. To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, 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 and a time for every purpose under heaven. A time for love, a time of hate, a time of war, a time of peace, a time you may embrace, a time to refrain from embracing. To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, 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 and a time for every purpose under heaven. A time to gain, a time to lose, a time to rend, a time to sow, a time of love, a time of hate, a time of peace. I swear it's not too late. To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, 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 and a time for every purpose under heaven.
Good morning. I'm Sally Lieberman. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. And our time for all ages this morning is a tale from Appalachia. And it's a tale of old Mo and old Zoe, who had lived at the base of a mountain for years. They were neighbors and friends and farmers. Years passed, they worked hard together. They buried their partners, they grew their children went away, and they were left together at the bottom of that mountain on the land that they had farmed side by side for so long. No, Mo was getting kind of tired and noticed this calf wandering on the land used by old Zoe. Said to old Zoe one day, "Hey, I think that's my calf. Looks like my old cow." And old Zoe said, "No, I'm pretty sure she belongs over here. I think that she's been roaming over here for a while. I think she's mine." And the truth was that neither of them actually really needed this young cow, but they came to this disagreement like they'd never had before. And they stopped talking. And the rain came the way it always had, and it filled a gully between their fields like it had never filled before. And old Mo looked across and thought old Zoe had dug a trench so that that land actually flooded. And that's what old Mo was thinking one day, looking across that field, seeing that water, when there was a knock on the door. There was a young woman at the door with a toolbox on her shoulder, and she was looking for work, like people used to do, knocking on doors, looking for jobs, like people might do again. And old Joe said, well, I don't have any work for you, but why don't you come in, because I've got some stew on the stove. And he welcomed in that young lady, just like they used to do when they would share what they had left on the stove, kind of like we might do again. They talked and they looked out the window, and old Joe said, you know, you see that river down there? It's never been that high. And my neighbor, Zoe over there, I don't like the way this river's rising. I got a job for you. You build me a fence, and then I don't even have to look at that river. And then I don't have to look over there and see Zoe. And the young woman said, well, I've got the tools. You got to get me some lumber and some nails, and I can do this work for you. I can get this done. So sure enough, he got the lumber, he got the nails, and she went to work, and he went off to town. He came back later in the day and went on down to that river. And sure enough, she'd been so busy all day. He looked across and he saw Zoe, old Zoe, coming straight across that river, hand outstretched, saying, Joe, you built us a bridge. I can come back over. Can we talk about this? And the young carpenter there started packing up her tools in her toolbox. And Joe looked at her and said, I thought you were going to build me a wall. And she said, I think this is actually the tool you need. And he said, well, I've got more work for you. Can you stick around? And she packed up her tools and she said, I've got to be on my way because I've got more bridges to build. But you and your friend here, you got each other and you've got a lot to do. So ends our tale from Appalachia this morning.
The sounding of the tingsha welcomes us into a time of prayer. So let us open our hearts in prayer. We come from many places seeking a center for our lives, a sense of wholeness. We come from dry places where the words and the knowledge seem broken into brittle fragments that do not adhere. We come from overfilled places where information abounds, but there is no real understanding. We come from hard places where feelings are dulled, hollowed places where meanings seem empty. Now, at this time of quiet reflection, we come to be emptied and filled in the life spirit that flows in and among us and through the world. Empty us of our clatter and confusion, the information we thought all sufficient. Quiet our minds, center our spirits, ground our being. Enable us to find your power that is already within us. Power for love, creativity, hope. Open our eyes to the sustenance that already surrounds and upholds us. Help us to see the miracle of life in each moment and each cubic inch of space, offering us a gift of opportunity. May our minds be open to wisdom, our spirits open to grace. Today we had just one green card that was sent in. 2 weeks ago, one of our friends shared that her daughter was in quarantine with her father for 14 days because her father had a fever when she was visiting him. She's happy to announce that her daughter is home. Neither of them had any additional symptoms the entire 14 days, and she is back with me, she says. She says, I am so grateful for her continued health, for a wonderful daughter, for this wonderful community who helped to keep her emotionally sane during this stressful time. Thank you. We also hold up in our hearts and in our prayers those among us, our young adults, who finished college study this week. We think of them. We also think of our good friend, Jamie Dingus, who is preaching her second sermon for the fine people of Huntsville, Alabama this morning. Afterwards, they will vote on whether or not to call her as their minister. Blessings on her and the good people of Huntsville. Grant us more courage to live for the true and the good. Guard us from rashness and deliver us from fear. Teach us when by patience we may serve you and each other best. Blessed be and amen.
Our reading today is from court proceedings against Pete Seeger in the 50s. Amid all the tributes and accolades to Pete Seeger, it's easy to forget the extent to which his career was almost destroyed by associations with communism and his refusal to testify to Congress about his time in the Communist Party. In August 1955, he was summoned before the House Un-American Activities Committee, where he refused to discuss his political associations and activities, and chastened the committee for the entire inquiry. As he put it that day, I decline to discuss under compulsion where I have sung and who has sung my songs or who else has sung with me and the people I have known. I love my country very dearly, and I greatly resent this implication that some of the places that I have sung and some of the people I've known and some of my opinions, whether they're religious or philosophical, or whether I might be a vegetarian, make me any less of an American. I will tell you about my songs, but I'm not interested in telling you who wrote them. And I will tell you about my songs, and I'm not interested in telling you who listened to them. Seeger was later indicted by a federal jury on 10 counts of contempt of Congress. He was convicted on all counts and sentenced to 10 concurrent one-year prison terms, which he never served. By 1962, the convictions were all overturned. But one of the more memorable exchanges from this historic testimony went this way. From Chief Counsel Tavener, I hand you a photograph which was taken on the May Day parade in New York City in 1952. Shows the front rank of a group of individuals, and one is in a uniform with military cap and insignia and carrying a placard entitled "Censored." Will you examine it, please, and state whether or not that's a photograph of you? The document is handed to the witness, and Pete says, "This is like Jesus Christ when he was asked by Pontius Pilate, 'Are you king of the Jews?'" Chairman Walter says, "Stop that." And Seeger again, "I feel that in my whole life, I've never done anything of any conspiratorial nature, and I resent very much and very deeply the implication of being called before this committee that in some way, because my opinions may differ from yours, that I am any less of an American than anybody else. I love my country very deeply, sir."
They say the words to the first protest song were found in Egypt, carved in a sarcophagus of a farmer who complained about the amount of taxes he had to pay on the grain that he produced. That may have been the first, but it was not the last protest song. People in all times, no matter where in the world they lived, have written songs about the lives they lived, the lives they wish they could live. They have created songs that explained their work, or songs to help make their work pass faster. We, have produced songs of new love, of old love, of lost love, songs of sorrow, songs of joy, songs to complain, songs to inspire, songs of birth, songs of death, songs of war, songs of peace, songs for every season under heaven. They were just songs to the people who sang them. But as our culture evolved, we have started to categorize them and assign names to those different types of songs. And we've assigned names to those who sing those songs. Troubadour, minstrel, folk singer. And it became their jobs to hold these songs for us. And as our society became more industrial, more technological, we forgot that each of us contains songs, that each of us has a voice, so we turn to the professional to be reminded of it, to draw out those emotions, those feelings that we have forgotten or been told to forget. The most popular of these singers just tell us again and again what the status quo would have us believe. That we are all just Jack and Diane living in little pink houses. That we should fall for that uptown girl. Or we should believe that fun is only produced by buying that one brand of beer, wearing that one brand of shirt, driving that one make of car. Dating these people, disliking those other people, taking what we want. And then there are those singers who remind us of our common humanity, who sing songs about freedom, freedom that from a system that has made people into wage slaves, who remind us that we were made for more than just work and toil, that we were made to sing, and that we can raise our voices in languages that we don't even know, and we can recognize our kinship with all of creation while singing them. Pete Seeger was such a person, someone who was a bit shy in speaking one-on-one, but who did not seem shy at all when he led 3,000 people in singing. You know, one of the things I remember best from President Obama's first inauguration was Pete Seeger and Bruce Springsteen singing "This Land Is Your Land." I watched it again this morning and was brought to tears. Maybe because so much has changed since that day, much perhaps has even been lost. But I was also brought to tears because I was reminded that we can dream, that we can inspire, that we can have hope. Watching those two singers with a choir behind them of young adults of different colors and backgrounds, and this crowd, this huge crowd that filled the entire basin from the Lincoln Memorial all the way up past the Washington Monument, all singing "This Land Is Your Land." If you are looking for a solve to our present situation, just go watch that video. Those troubadours, minstrels, and folk singers also get called another name. They get called troublemakers. Those who point out greed, those who point out our own hypocrisy, those who make us uncomfortable with the truth are often demonized. And for those who can stand up to the name calling, well, that shows something extra, doesn't it? Shows that people can be brave, even in the face of damage to one's family and one's career. You know, there is a reading that was written by the Reverend Olympia Brown. She was the first woman ordained as a Universalist minister. It's a piece that's found in our hymnal. It's called "Stand by This Faith." Right? Stand by this faith, work for it, sacrifice for it. There is nothing in all the world so important as to be loyal to this faith, which has placed before us the loftiest ideals, which has comforted us in sorrow, strengthened us for noble duty, and made the world beautiful. Do not demand immediate results, but rejoice that we are worthy to be entrusted with this great message, that you are strong enough to work for a great, true principle without counting the cost. Go on finding ever new applications of these truths and new enjoyments for their contemplations, always trusting in the one God which ever lives and loves. I'm sure she wasn't thinking of Pete Seeger, who was still a small child as she reached the end of her ministry and her life. But it's still true, isn't it? We need to stand by this faith, stand by the faith that we have in our beliefs. Pete Seeger was a man of faith. A man of faith. Let's think about that phrase for a second. And let's update it. A person of faith. He was a person, which means that he made mistakes. He backed the wrong global politician for too long. He advertised Lucky Strike cigarettes. He got angry. But being a person, being human, also means that he learned from his mistakes. that he was humble enough to see them, to admit when he had done wrong, and to grow from those mistakes. Person of faith, of a belief that he was dedicated to an idea. He was committed to an understanding of what the world can be, that it can be better for everyone if we got the companies and the governments out of the way and helped people to see their own humanity in the lives, in the words, and in the music of other peoples. We can look at all the big things that he did, but there's one small example of his faith that I loved when I heard about it. In the 1990s, you could drive through Beacon, New York, right there on Route 9, place between Poughkeepsie and West Point. And if you drove through that town, you might see an old man standing along the side of the road holding a placard with the word peace on it. That would have been Pete Seeger. Even in his 90s, he stood outside for an hour or so in fine weather, holding his sign simply because it was a good thing to do. He was a man who didn't embrace traditional faiths for most of his life, though he did later on join the Community Church in New York, one of our Unitarian Universalist congregations right in New York City. He joined it at first. Well, he knew about the Unitarians. His mother was a Unitarian. He joined it because he thought, here are a bunch of people like me. And then he organized a group of singers who could go out and sing at protests. The Reverend Dan Schatz recalls a conversation he had with Pete Seeger in a story that Dan wrote for the UU World magazine. He talked about community and the connections people of different cultures were able to make with each other more and more across the world, and how much hope it gave him for the future. With typical modesty, he never once mentioned that he was a pioneer in making those kinds of connections. I don't think it ever occurred to him. He said that if the human race survives another 100 years, it will be because of the arts. The arts will save us. Music, visual arts, theater, dance, and especially laughter. If we can get the whole world laughing, he told me, we can move the world. Pete Seeger was a man of faith. He is someone that we should look to, not as a hero. I've never been a big fan of heroes, but perhaps as an inspiration and as a reminder that we each have our own song to sing. And it would be a shame, a great shame, we didn't get a chance to share it. So today, on his birthday, may we be inspired to sing our own songs, to join in singing with others their songs of hope, their songs of life, their songs of love. My friends, this month, it being May, we have a new Share the Plate sponsor, that we are sponsoring. The Louis D. Brown Peace Institute was started many years ago after Louis D. Brown, a young man, was killed in a gunfight. He was caught in a crossfire. He was actually on his way to a meeting about peace between gangs. His mother, from that time, went out, decided to make an institute. You might know them best because they do the annual Mother's Day March for Peace. Well, this year, there is no march, but they're still raising funds to keep their institute going. So if you go to our church's website, right up at the top, you will see the word donate. And you click on that, and that'll bring you to a page, and there you can give your weekly gift. You can help share the plate. You type in money. You type in a large amount of money, because half of that money is going to go to the Louis D. Brown Peace Institute to bring peace, not just to the young people of Boston, but of this whole area. Groups from across our country come to the Louis D. Brown Peace Institute to learn how they are doing it. So give to support them, give to support this beloved community of ours, so that others can benefit from the gifts that you have received. The offering will now be given and joyfully received.
Where have all the flowers gone? Long time passing. Where have all the flowers gone? Long time ago. Where have all the flowers gone? Young girls have picked them, everyone. When will they ever learn? When will they ever learn? Where have all the young girls gone? Long time passing. Where have all the young girls gone? Long time ago. Where have all the young girls gone? Gone to young men, everyone. When will they ever learn? When will they ever learn? Where have all the young men gone? Long time passing. Where have all the young men gone? Long time ago. Where have all the young men gone? Gone to soldiers, everyone. When will they ever learn? When will they ever learn? Where have all the soldiers gone? Long time passing. Where have all the soldiers gone? Long time ago. Where have all the soldiers gone? Gone to graveyards, everyone. When will they ever learn? When will they ever learn? Where have all the graveyards gone? Long time passing. Where have all the graveyards gone? Long time ago. Where have all the graveyards gone? Gone to flowers, everyone. When will they ever learn? When will they ever learn? Where have all the flowers gone? Long time passing. Where have all the flowers gone? Long time ago. Where have all the flowers gone? Young girls have picked them, everyone. When will they ever learn? When will they ever learn?
I'm sharing with us our congregational life, highlights from our weekly e-news and our monthly newsletter, giving you ideas about how to be connected to the work and life of our church as we go on. Our May newsletter was emailed this past Thursday. It is full of great information and resources, including a daily list of offerings, which include online gatherings for every age group. We hope you will take a look and join us. There you will find our governing board's notice for the May annual members meeting. In light of the COVID-19 pandemic, this will be a virtual meeting on Sunday, May 17th at 11:15 a.m. An email containing the meeting link and instructions to join the meeting, along with the warrant and attachments, will be sent to all members later this week. Please mark your calendars and plan to be present. The governing board also wants to remind everyone to please fill out the survey about your single service time preferences by tomorrow, Monday, May 4th. We want to hear from everyone about their preference, whether you're a member, non-member, or occasional attendee. The board will review results prior to finalizing the warrant for the congregational meeting. Links to that survey have gone out via email and Facebook. If you have any questions, please contact, this is email address, clerk@uureading.org. Each summer, from the final Sunday in June until the Sunday of Labor Day weekend, we meet together in beloved fellowship. This summer, Roald Wilson will once again be providing music, and several services will be led by staff, including Reverend Hank. If you would like to be part of summer services, from preaching to doing a reading to sharing an idea for the service theme, please contact Rob Craig Coleman through his email. And don't be put off by fears about producing an online service. There are folks from Worship Arts to do the tech work and to assist and support you in whatever way makes it easy and possible for you to spread your wings as close or as wide as you are willing to try. And if you have any experience that you would like to share to help us produce our online worship, please inquire about our stream team. If you are new to UUCR, we would love to hear from you. If you need assistance in accessing any online program or would like more information about anything church related, please send an email to Melissa Martin, our Member Services and Volunteer Coordinator. You can find her on our church website and in the service description below. We hope this week finds you well and open to exploring new ways of becoming more involved in our congregational life.
So we're going to sing again. Our closing hymn is If I Had a Hammer, another great song by Pete Seeger. But I want to share briefly with you a really great opportunity that I had, and by this inspiration that the musician Pete Seeger gives us all so freely. In 2005, I was invited to join Jim Scott. My friend Jim Scott invited me down to New York City to the community church. They were doing a performance with Pete Seeger and in honor of him. And so, of course, I went, and it was interesting. The church folk were very used to him, but when he first walked into the sanctuary for the dress rehearsal, banjo slung over his back, he's in his 80s, joking about he couldn't remember his lyrics, but a real hush fell over the choir. We were just godsmacked, and it felt like we were in the presence of a holy person. Of course, we're all just fans. But it was beautiful to see how his congregation embraced him and honored him, and there he was singing with his head thrown back, proudly his songs of love and life. We've got a great singer ready to sing for you. Josh Olivia Mason is going to lead us in If I Had a Hammer. Please sing out.
sisters all over this land. Ooh, if I had a bell, I'd ring it in the morning, I'd ring it in the evening, all over this land. I'd ring out danger, I'd ring out a warning, I'd ring out love between my brothers and my sisters all over this land. Ooh, if I had a song, I'd sing it in the morning, I'd sing it in the evening, all over this land. I'd sing out danger, I'd sing out a warning, I'd sing out love between my brothers and my sisters all over this land. Ooh, well, I got a hammer and I got a bell and I got a song to sing all over this land. It's the hammer of justice, it's a bell of freedom, it's a song about love between my brothers and my sisters all over this land, over this land, all over this land, over this land, over this land, all over this land. Oh yeah.
Would you join me as we extinguish our chalice? We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth. Oops, whoa. Ah. Not the light of truth, the warmth of community, but the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts. And now, our benediction with words from Pete Seeger himself. To my old brown earth and to my old blue sky, I'll now give these last few molecules of I. And you who sing and you who stand nearby, I do not charge you not to cry. Guard well our human chain, watch well you keep it strong, as long as the sun will shine. And this, our home, keep pure and sweet and green, for now I'm yours, and you are also mine. Our worship is over, our service begins. Go in peace. Amen.